get to Facebook while smiling so we can share this thing.
Don't move
Welcome
your
if you're
face.
just joining. If
What's
you're
that?
just joining us, welcome.
Oh,
We're just getting things squared away, straightened up. Podcast Technorama.
it takes a minute for it to show up.
It's there, but there's a big purple cover art over our faces. You've got like half of your face showing.
StreamYard's AI is actually wising up to showing us on video.
You just turned into Mike Wazowski. Oh, there it is. Now it's better.
Yeah.
And I got a goofy grin on my face, and you look like you're mad. That's
No,
pretty,
I'm not mad.
pretty standard.
I'm not mad. When I listen and pay attention, I know I probably scowl a little bit, but I'm not mad.
Your resting face is.
Yeah. Hey, so Kim and Harrison and myself went out to dinner Saturday night,
Yes.
and in part of the restaurant they had a TV going, and it had the diners, drive-ins, and dives, with Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
And I looked up and went, "Oh, look, Kim! It was a rest there. He was at a restaurant that we like in Charlotte, very soul food restaurant. Great food there. We've been there several times. And as I was looking at the screen, they showed. I couldn't really hear it, but I saw somebody talking, and it was somebody I used to work with at the law firm. They were in the show at a table, and they were part of the interview. I was like, "Did I just see Janie?"
When was
I
it
think
filmed?
it was Janie, huh?
When was it filmed?
Oh, it's probably a while back.
Okay.
Last weekend. What? Yeah. No, I think I saw it. I think I've seen that episode before, and I had the same reaction. I went, "Oh, that's Janie." I forgot she was in it, and there she was again. I'm not sure if she still works there, but she might.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. Yeah, it was funny. I bet it was probably that episode's probably 10 years old now. I don't know. That restaurant is unbelievable.
You want to see something old that doesn't age well? Is Modern Marvels.
Modern Marvels.
The show, it used to be like on the History Channel where they'd show like bridges or mining equipment, and they would take you through this history stuff. Many of the episodes were recorded in the 90s. I was watching one on the Pentagon yesterday. Just flipping channels and going, "Oh, Modern Marvels. This is usually good for a education now and then." It was filmed just after 2001, after 9/11.
Oh, produced, yeah.
The people that were sitting around looked like they were wearing 1990s clothing and hairstyles and whatnot. Going, "Oh boy, they don't know what's coming." And then they showed. It's like, oh, they already did, because I believe shortly after 9/11, the subway stop that used to stop there. I thought I heard this like in the last couple of weeks that it no longer stops there.
Oh, it makes sense. I would imagine.
Yeah. So I'd have to double check that. Don't quote me on it. If anybody's watching this later, maybe they know.
Somebody's trying to look up transit schedules, and Chuck said it doesn't stop there anymore.
I guess I can't go to work. Work from home for the Pentagon. How's that working out for you?
There you go.
All right. Let's get started on this show. If we remember how to do a podcast, it's been over a month.
It has been. Yeah.
It has been. That's us. Then I should have grabbed a beer.
Go get one. I'll just sit here.
We haven't recorded yet. Hold on. Craig's going to entertain you for about the next 30 seconds.
That's right. Yeah. Actually, today, not to bring everybody down, but today I watched a video that was recently released on YouTube. Guy's channel, I don't recall the name, but I can put it in the show notes. Anyway, he visited area about 6 miles from my house, showing the devastation from the hurricane and the way things are today. And it's been about 8 months since the hurricane came. It's September 27th. And to look at that, to watch that video and see the devastation still from that area, it's ridiculous. Chuck, I was just talking about that video I watched with about the devastation in the area. All that's about 6 miles from me, and just looking at it, you can see how powerful that water was. And the water came from a couple different directions and converged and went right down Chimney Rock. and I mean, it moved earth. There's boulders bare that weren't there before, and just a quiet river there now. But you can find some videos where people had filmed during the storm, and it's amazing to see that the power of that water.
Did the meadery open up yet?
I think it's actually still open. That side was okay. I think there was some flood. Oh, they had flooding up to the steps, the back steps of the building. So they got close, but then
the whole courtyard area where they had like kind of a picnicky looking place.
All that was
how we got washed away.
All that was washed away. Because Lake Lures just down the road from there, and it was overwhelmed, with all the water. So
there's a gazebo at the bottom of the lake, probably.
It's probably like several gazebos under the lake. So, but yeah, a lot of these areas, they still have water alerts because of the bacteria and of course the flooding. You got sewage and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a long time before it's good water get. Now I'm on the top of them, not really the top of a mountain. I'm on the top of a mountain, sort of, and so I'm not. That's not a problem for me, but it is a problem for a lot of people down below.
Alrighty, let us begin. I'm going to move that drink so it doesn't spill on something while I move my hand. Let's get rid of our pre-show prep banner. Gone. And make sure this works before I hit record. Yep, we're good.
Oh, check that out. We can do live comments now.
We could do live comments.
No, on the screen. There's a little checkbox at the top above the comments that says show comments on stage.
On stage.
I don't know if we want to do that, but you can show a live chat going across the
comments take the stage. Live comments from viewers will appear on the screen during the stream. Oh, okay. So like
when on YouTube when they have the little chat going.
We wouldn't be able to preview them though.
Right.
Keep the cover. Well, we don't get a whole lot of people commenting.
we might.
If we start this feature, we will.
Yes, right.
Please join us for live comments. We have live comments now. All right. Then let us go in 3, 2, 1. Technorama episode 773. Keep calm and put in a ticket, please. Hey, welcome to Technorama. This is the show that takes a lighthearted look at tech, science, sci-fi, and all things geek. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome to the show. If you're returning, welcome back. We appreciate you giving us your time. My name is Chuck Tomasi from sunny Phoenix, Arizona, and right over there is Craig Stepp. You got a right in the right ear.
Like that. I got it right.
How are you, Craig?
I'm doing good. Doing well. Yeah, I'm doing all right. I just just feels like we haven't done this in so long.
We haven't done this in so long.
Yeah. Well, every time we take off a week here or 2 weeks there, doing it's not the problem because we've done it for so long. It's just that it just feels like kind of lost. And
I have to go back and reread the instruction manual.
Yeah.
StreamYard.
We're like the greatest American hero. We lost that manual a long time ago.
Yeah. We didn't even have a manual to lose.
Right.
Is this the part where I plug Podcasting for Dummies?
Yeah, that's it.
That's my manual. And a big poster board on the wall.
And it should be yours too. There you go.
For the low price.
Yeah.
Actually, I signed a couple copies of that about a week ago in Vancouver.
Oh, really?
We were having a developer meetup, and Glenn Chason bought a couple of copies and said, "Here, these are for giveaways at the meetup, and you get to ask any question you want." I said, "Any question I want?" He said, "Yeah, it doesn't have to be ServiceNow related or anything." And I said, "Okay, question 1: in the old time radio series Tom Mix, what was Tom Mix's horse's name?" And everybody starts Googling it real fast. I just had the discussion like a week before with my dad, so I knew the answer.
That's funny.
Tony the Wonder Horse.
Tony.
And the second question, because I was showing them my music app, and people were making requests, and I played the first one, and then put the screen away. And the second question was, all right, what was the second request on the list? So you were paying attention. And one guy got it. I said, "You're the guy who requested it, aren't you?" Yep.
That's
So
funny.
that was nice. Yeah. Anyway, welcome back to the show. Welcome back, Craig. Welcome back, me.
Yeah, welcome back, Chuck.
Let's do our feedback. We asked a question a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day. Mailman, mailman, mail today. Reach right in and pull one out.
Boing.
Those letters. I love those letters. Let's find out what you got to say. Oh, boy. Mailman, mail today.
I swear, I still think that sounds like Michael Meningay. Oh boy.
I gotta talk to that man sooner or later.
Yeah.
All right, our question of the week last time, more like question of the month and a half, is if you could have any fictional AI from a movie or TV show as your personal assistant, but they had to use a 56K dial-up connection for all their processing, who would you choose and what would be their most frustrating quirk?
Now,
That's
I
a pretty,
had one.
pretty specific answer.
Well, I had one, but I think somebody already picked it, so I'm not going to say it just yet.
Okay.
All right.
Steve London writes in, he says, Falcon AI from War Games. Only issue is that it starts in, well, you could, a 56K dial-up would be an upgrade for that guy.
Yes, it would.
The only issue is that it starts nuclear wars from time to time and has to be shut down with a few games of tic-tac-toe. And the AI might have been named Joshua.
Joshua. Yeah, I think it was, wasn't it? It's his son.
Yes.
All right. So, I'm sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. Kyle Nishioka says, Skippy from the Extraordinary Force novels.
Expeditionary Force.
Oh, Expeditionary Force. AKA Skippy the Magnificent. But also Skippy the a-hole beer can. Oh, there, beer can to everyone that he's met. What? I don't understand that. He would definitely make life more interesting. His catchphrase is TTA, trust the awesomeness.
Lone Guy's Nice says, Bit from Automan.
Yes, I
It
remember
only
him.
speaks in binary.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there was also a bit on Tron, too.
Yes, there was.
No.
They were similar.
There was one more in here. Is that the one you wanted to get from the share?
Yeah. This is, our buddy Joe Fiore says, I want Max Headroom. That's the one that came to mind. His most frustrating quirk would be that he's always trying to get me to drink Coke. I was just thinking of his twitching. Give me a straight answer. What whatever. I thought Max Headroom would be perfect. I'm surprised we haven't seen an AI Max Headroom, bot.
There's got to be a copyright on that or something.
Copyrights haven't stopped anybody before. Right?
Max Frewer might.
Matt Frewer. Yeah.
You never know. I always get a smile on my face when I go over to the UK and I'm walking around and you see the parking garages that, ours would say maximum height, like 8 feet, 2 inches.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying max headroom. That's where he got his name.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. I was just checking. I thought we had an email, but maybe not. No, I don't see one. Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah, I didn't see an email either or a voicemail.
So Diane Metis, she sent a meme. Let's see, is this
that might be for the Topicus track.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, yeah, maybe. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
that's listener Dan. Other show.
Oh,
we'll
right.
Be recording soon. Okay, let's wrap that up. We'll have another question at the end of the show. And I'm pretty sure we're going to do another episode in a week. So it will be a question of the week. Let's get on with the history. On this day in history for June 11th, 2025, this is the 162nd day of the year in the Gregorian calendar. There are 203 days remaining in 2025. It was on this date in 1509 that Henry VIII of England married Catherine of Aragon. Isn't she from Lord of the Rings?
I was going to say, yes, from Lord of the Rings. That same date in 1559, Don Tristan de Luna y Arellano sailed for Florida with a party of 1,500, intending to settle on the Gulf Coast, Veracruz, Mexico.
What was the Gulf called back then?
The Gulf of Nobody.
The Gulf of this is our land now.
No, it was just Gulf.
Look at this very large Gulf. We shall call it the Gulf. Gulfo de me. On June 11, 1748, Denmark adopted the characteristic Nordic cross flag, later taken up by all other Scandinavian countries.
And it was also on the date in 1770 that the British explorer Captain James Cook ran aground on the Great Barrier Reef.
Well, that's a bad day.
Yeah. Oops.
We'll just have that pulled off in a minute.
Right.
Also on June 11, 1776, the Continental Congress of the United States appointed Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, some guy named Roger Sherman, and Robert R. Livingston to the Committee of Five to draft the Declaration of Independence. That's all about unity and bringing people together.
Roger Sherman was an intern.
Robert Livingston ran a copy machine.
Yeah, that's right. The lithograph. All right. Also on today in 1788, Russian explorer Ismailov.
Ismailov? I don't know. Did you turn it on?
Yeah, off on. Reached Alaska.
Hooray!
It wasn't a big stretch. He just walked over the Barrier Strait.
Bering Land Bridge. No,
Yeah.
the glaciers had long since retreated since then.
Yeah.
It was also on this date in 1892 that the Limelight Department, one of the world's first film studios, was officially established in Melbourne, Australia.
An inventor, Edwin Armstrong, gave the first public demonstration of FM broadcasting in the United States in Alpine, New Jersey on this date in 1935. And
FM.
he invented podcasting in 1936.
No,
No?
it's like radio for the internet. What's a radio?
Yeah. What's a radio? That's right.
63 years ago today, Frank Morris, John Anglin, and Clarence Anglin allegedly became the only prisoners to escape from prison on Alcatraz Island.
I saw that with Clint Eastwood.
Sort
He
of.
was the other one that escaped. It was also in the state in 1998 that
He was Roger Sherman.
Yeah, he was Roger Sherman. It was on the state in 1998 that Compaq Computer paid US dollars $9 billion for Digital Equipment Corporation in the largest high-tech acquisition. And look where Compaq's today.
They got sucked up by HP and then they got pooped out the decommissioning machine.
Yeah.
That same date in 2002, Antonio Meucci was acknowledged as the first inventor of the telephone by the United States Congress. Wow. Took him a while to go, maybe it wasn't Bell.
Yeah, maybe not. Cassini-Huygens made its closest flyby to the Saturn moon Phoebe on this date in 2004.
And that same date in 2008, the Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope was launched into orbit. That doesn't spell anything. FGST. Maybe instead of gamma rays, we should be looking for alpha rays and then be the fast.
Right.
We're looking for something else now. Happy birthday goes out of the state to German astronomer Johann Georg Paulich, born on this date in 1723.
And also born on that same date in 1834, German mechanical engineer and physicist Johann Breuchinger.
Also turning 183 today, if he's still alive,
yeah,
is German engineer and academic Carl von Linde.
And French physicist and academic Charles Fabry, born on this date in 1867.
I think they changed up the format. Otherwise, it wouldn't be saying these people turned this or is this age today. My parser needs updating now. Thanks, Wikipedia.
Yeah.
German-American mathematician and photographer Natasha Artin Brunswick is 116 today.
And French biologist, author, and inventor co-developed the aqualung. Jacques Cousteau, born on this date in 1910.
Also born on the date in 1950, American mathematician and physicist Nicholas Metropolis.
And actor, director, screenwriter, Gene Wilder, born on this date in 1933.
American actor and producer Peter Dinklage is 56 today.
Wow. An American actor, Shia LaBeouf, was born on this date in 1986, the year before I graduated high school.
Spider-Man's a grown-up now.
That's not Spider-Man.
Oh, Shia, no, that's Transformer Boy.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Listener birthdays this week include, although Spider-Man is grown up too.
Yes.
Miss Eliza C. from Winging It 3D. Wow, there's a throwback.
Yeah.
Joe Edmison on the 16th. Also on the 16th, Jason from The Angry Geek. 17th is Digital Dan from The Hook Show. And that's the way it was on this date in history for June 11th, 2025. If you want to get your name on the birthday calendar, I'll tell you what you're going to do. Craig's going to put it on the screen, and I'm going to tell you what's happening. You go over to chuckchat.com/birthday. And when you put that in the form, goes into our calendar, and we'll give you a shout out at the appropriate time of the year. So look for that. Do that now. There's even people who put their wives in there, their anniversaries. It's craziness.
Your iPod.
The death of my old iPod. my iPod second generation or something.
Yeah. Those things were cool.
You can still use them, you can hook them up to laptops and whatnot.
Sure.
The music app recognizes it.
Although it does.
The files, you do the file transfers in Finder. Anyway, on to the news.
News and weather, everyone.
That wasn't loud enough. Do it again.
News and weather,
That's
everyone.
better. We have an article from, where's this one from? This is Galaxy, not space.com. This
Daily
is
Galaxy.
dailygalaxy.com with a news article about the Voyager 1. It's made a comeback. Whoa!
Wow.
No, it's not coming back. It turned around.
It's turn around. That was the command they sent by accident.
What they did is they fixed some thrusters that have been dead for 20 years. So you need to have thrusters to align the antenna so we can still listen to it. 23 hours to get a command there.
Yeah.
It's pretty dang far away.
Yeah, and it has to be pretty focused right on the earth in the right spot to be able to get the messages in too. So it's like, trying to thread a needle while you're going down the highway.
And not only that, but the only antenna that can receive it is in Australia, and it's going down for maintenance for about 9 months. So they wanted to make sure that it was okie doke and sending on its way. But back in 2004, they were having some problems and they went, well, that's it for the primary thrusters. We're on backups now. But one smart guy said, what if it's not the end of the primary backups? Because they needed to warm them up to use them properly. And these were just darn cold and the heaters weren't working. So they wrote it off. But one guy was probably sitting in a coffee shop going, I wonder if, and he got this bright idea of a way to bring them back to life. And they brought them back to life. Now that's pretty darn impressive because back in 2004, they didn't think, well, we got another 20 years out of this. Are we going to make, they thought, we probably got a few more years and then it'll be gone. The power supply will be dead. We can't communicate with it anymore, but look, it's still chugging along and he fixed it. Now they can go down for maintenance on the antenna and it's going to just be creeping along and we'll learn whatever we can from the depths of space on Voyager 1.
From something that's nearly 50 years old, flying through space, all these conditions, and they're able to pull something like that off.
Well, they recently had that memory map issue.
I was going to say, this thing's been a miracle after a miracle after a miracle. But yeah, it's pretty fantastic. It just goes to show you, don't throw your old computers away because they're not obsolete.
Voyager 1 is refusing to be e-waste.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not going. Fit me out with an Arduino and I'll be good for another 40 years.
That's right.
Going out there and making a service call is going to be a little expensive, though.
Call the Geek Squad.
Well, scientists have possibly, going even further out into space, they possibly found a new dwarf planet beyond the Kuiper Belt. So, dwarf planet is like Pluto. And it's, in the Kuiper Belt, more or less, it's a dwarf planet because it doesn't clear the space around it. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
Well, they've made a discovery called 2017 OF sub 201.
Sub
I've
201.
never seen a subscript on a planet before, but then again, I don't look at these things every day.
Right.
They said it has a highly irregular orbit, meaning very elliptical.
Okay.
When it's furthest away in its orbit, it's more than 1,600 times that of Earth's orbit. They call that an astronomical unit, that typical 93 million miles or whatever that is in kilometers.
Right.
And when it's closest, it's 44.5 times. So 1,600 to 44. That is an elliptical orbit. Now, it was closest back in the 1930. I was like, wow, that was lucky. That also happened to be the year Clyde Tombaugh discovered Pluto. But this thing is even further away and so dim that he wouldn't have been able to see it with the current with the instrumentation of that time. But now telescopes have gotten better and we're seeing it on its way out. 99% of the time, we can't observe this planet because it's too far away, too dim, too small, but we happen to catch it. And they said, well, that's lucky. And I wonder what that means. There could be many, many more. The other side of this is that if there's one, there may be more. And if there are more, it could throw out the idea of Planet 9, which is, where is it? Michael Brown.
Yeah, it's supposed to be beyond Pluto.
Planet 9 is a concept that was introduced in 2016 by Caltech astronomers Michael Brown. He's the guy who demoted Pluto, so put him in your Christmas list.
Right.
And Konstantin Batygin to explain the perceived clustering of the orbits of many extreme trans-Neptunian objects. That's not the band, that's Trans-Siberian Orchestra. This is TNO, not TSO. The gravity of Planet 9, which is speculated to be a super Earth or modest ice giant, would be influencing the orbits of extreme TNOs, or so the hypothesis goes. Yet the orbit of 2017 OF sub 201 is not clustered with the others. So if it's not clustered, it means there may not be a Planet 9.
Right.
So they're keeping an eye on that. There's still a lot of, hey, that's fascinating. Let's do more research and find out what it means.
That's pretty cool, though.
Really cool. We're never done discovering. We've got lots of images of deep space, but there's still lots to learn about our own solar system. And yes, this is our solar system, even though it's beyond Pluto, beyond the Kuiper Belt. It's within the heliopause, which is the margin at which our sun exerts its energy. So it's ours.
It's ours.
All right, we have another news story. And this is actually kind of encouraging. I'm not sure what to make of this news. It says almost half the young people surveyed would prefer a world without internet, according to a UK survey. They said the research reveals that nearly 70% of 16 to 21-year-olds feel worse about themselves after spending time on social media. Duh.
Well, yeah.
Right.
I don't spend that much time on social media anymore.
No, I mean, my biggest social media is still LinkedIn and I'm retired. So that tells you how that's going.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When things were coming out, Twitter and Facebook and all these other ones, when they first were coming out, Reddit, I was fascinated by them. I probably spent more time on there than I should have, but I don't. Reddit maybe more than anything now, and it's more looking to see what stories are popping up, but I don't really engage in social media much anymore.
Well, this gets to legislation like what can we do about it in terms of can we regulate the social media places because they're harmful. I mean, there's no two ways about it. They're harmful to our young people.
Yeah.
Do we make it like alcohol and say, look, you got to be 21 to use this?
They did that in Australia, didn't they?
18, I think. Maybe it was 21.
Yeah, but they did regulate it. I'm curious to see how that's going.
So there's a lot to unpack here. I read through the article and went, okay, again, fascinating. What do we do about that? Because you can't just turn it off. If I feel like something has to be done in conjunction with the cooperation of et cetera, et cetera. The social media companies need to tune their algorithms to be less harmful.
Yeah. Well, the problem is they won't, because, or I think they'll push away from that, because that's engagement they're literally cutting off.
It's very much more so than alcohol. I think it's more like tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
Where, I know kids who started smoking in 6th grade. They weren't 18. They couldn't buy them. I don't know where they got their cigarettes, but they were smoking.
Right.
And, it's going to happen. And look at the impact it had on their health and their longevity and their lives and all that stuff.
Well, I joked about this a long time ago, and I think Michael Minigay was on here. I thought that because of cell phones were, people are using them too much, like when they're in social situations, dinners or whatever, when they should be engaging with people, they were too busy focusing on what just came in. And people do that all the time, I know, still. But I had a feeling that at some point that social norm would get turned on its head, and people would shun you for being like that instead of just accepting it. And I thought the mobile aspect of it would be frowned upon rather than just accepted. You know what I mean?
Right. But a little different when you're talking about getting on social media, that you can't really control what a young adult is doing at 10 p.m. in their bedroom on TikTok. It's like, so that's a direct connection with the service, and the service needs to be responsible for what they're presenting and the ramifications it has. No different than tobacco companies to take responsibility for what's happening to people's health. It's, instead of physical health, this is mental health.
Well, yeah. And to that point, there was a time when I had my own internet service, and I had people come to me and ask, how can I protect my kids online from, adult content? And I
Talk
was
to
like,
them for one.
huh? Well, that was actually my message. I was like, look, they were, people would ask, what kind of filters can I put on? I'm like, well, you can put filters on all the live long day, but there's ways around that. And there'll be other places where they can still get online. So you got to have a conversation with your kids. And
no,
I would say that this falls in that same
smoking, alcohol, and sex. You got to talk about internet use.
Yeah, because and make sure you come across that the way people are perceived on or try to make themselves perceived on the internet is not real life.
No.
Yeah. So that's my message, and some people weren't happy with that. I was like, well, I'm sorry you got to talk to your kids, but
except Craig and me, we're exactly like you perceive us.
Yes. Yeah, smart and
idiots. We think we're funnier than we are.
Oh, is that what they are? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next news article from Newsweek.com. Artificial blood could work for all blood types. They've done some trials on this. Been some side effects. They found an artificial blood that's made from real blood. If I'm trying to remember where this came in, but the big thing is it would last longer, because normally you do a whole blood donation and it lasts about 3 weeks, and they go, well, that's the end of that.
It's shelf stable.
They're able to take the hemoglobin out of that and refactor it in some way so it's not tied to a blood type. So I don't know all the biologies and whatnot. I should run this past Lisa, since this is kind of her domain.
We should have had her on.
That says Nara Medical University did a trial administered to 100 people, 100 to 400 milliliters of the artificial blood to 16 healthy adult volunteers, according to the local news outlet Kyodo News. The next stage would be to examine the treatment's efficacy and safety, and if no side effects were reported. Newsweek has not been able to determine whether the participants experienced any side effects following the March transfusions. So this would greatly help with like natural disasters, for countries that don't have a whole lot of incoming blood donations. They could create an artificial blood supply and store
Yeah.
it longer. Or this could be an export for a country that does have more donations.
Hmm.
Lots of different ways this could be sliced, but this is a good thing. Preventing death.
Yeah.
People need surgery and they go, oh, well, we don't have enough blood to get you the surgery, so you're just going to die.
Well,
It's a
just
preventable
like
thing.
well, just like you mentioned the natural disasters. When Red Cross or somebody has to be there, and blood stores are already low, or
Right.
yeah, this would be fantastic. I put this in here because it seemed like a pretty fascinating or a exciting story because of the uses here.
All right. Next story. I think we have hacks and strange stories, right?
Yes.
From thinkstewartville.com, an article that came in just a few days ago. Gentleman was tinkering with an old typewriter. Didn't get the brand of typewriter, which made it very difficult. The article even references a video. No link. Couldn't find that. Like this is a little sketchy, but okay, we'll go with it.
Yeah, why
So
not?
he took an old typewriter, wanted to keep the mechanical feel of the keyboard.
Hmm.
But there were some special keys that you need on a computer that aren't on a, and hooked that up. What did it say he put in here? He said he found an H110 motherboard without a PCIe X16 slot, an Intel i5 6600 processor, 4 gig of DDR4, a GT 635 graphics card, 240 gig SATA SSD, and a 200 watt SFX power supply. Oh, and a Wi-Fi card. He put that all inside, so he must have gutted the mechanics. Put that inside, and he had to create an Arduino. Where is it? Arduino. There it is. He had to make an interface to take the old-fashioned keyboard and modernize it so that the computer would accept that as input. He used an Arduino Leonardo microcontroller that acts as an interface, translating keystrokes into signals recognized by the operating system. The missing special keys are cleverly mapped onto existing combinations, while the character layout is adapted to match a standard American keyboard. So I would love to see a video and maybe a build out of how this is done. All we have is a lovely picture, which
Hang on a second. I'm gonna see if I can.
I looked for
Here we go.
typewriter.
So this is a Optima typewriter. Can you see my screen?
Yep. That
All right.
looks like the one.
Look at there. All that stuff's shoved in the.
Yeah, he said he hot glued it.
Oh,
It's
no,
not
you can't
even
use
like
hot glue.
mounted properly. It's hot glued where possible.
Well, hope it doesn't get too heated in there. Look at there. He cut the back out. Got the ports sticking out.
The power supply is just a tad long.
Yeah.
And angled the wrong way. Look at that power cord is just bent.
They put too much hot glue under the power supply. But yeah, check it out. Look at the old mouse over there with 2 scroll wheels.
2 scroll wheels.
Wow.
What would you need 2 scroll wheels for? I only have 1 scroll bar.
I don't know. But there you go. I thought that was pretty cool.
Must have had something to do with the yeah, that is neat. So great way. Again, we were talking e-waste before. There's a great way to reduce e-waste by uplifting some older.
So next time you end up with a Voyager 1 in your backyard, you can repurpose it.
I'm going to upgrade this to run Minecraft.
Hey, look, we got Doom running on the Voyager 1.
And that's how V'ger was born.
Right. Anyway, that's really cool.
So thank you for finding that story. We've got one more to go before we get into some other stuff. I wanted to remind you that we do this show on Sunday nights. If you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, you get a warning 30 minutes ahead of time to join us, or Facebook. You can join us there as well. We'd love to see you. We got somebody was in here. They didn't comment, but
Nope.
they're there. Craig discovered we now have live show comments, so we don't have to read them and place them.
Well, it's not on. It's not enabled at the moment.
It's not enabled at the moment. We can flip the switch. If anybody wants to make a comment, there it will be. I don't know if that shows up as a chat panel on the side or they automatically pop up on the bottom. Don't know. We want to try it out. So we want to see you there. 8:30 Eastern time on YouTube or Facebook. You can go over to chuckchat.com/Technorama, get all the details about that. And with that, we're going to jump into Remember When.
Jump.
We have 28 predictions from Retro Future that were either a hit or miss. That kind of, takes all. There aren't any other options except hit or miss.
I love these kind of stories. We've had some of these in the past, and may have had this. I don't think we've had this one before, but a couple of the little illustrations look familiar. So yeah.
So we have phones of the past, present, and future. This was supposed to be like in 1950, and yes, we had touch pads on our phones, which was pretty close. Let's go through these pictures together.
All right.
Here's two ladies video conferencing. They're not paying attention to each other either.
It's
They're
like
talking to people.
it's like a 50s retro Zoom call.
50s. This looks like, from the 1920s.
They got the goggles.
Yeah, that's because they were just in their little hover car over there.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. We also have Google Maps with the GAF Viewmaster.
Hey, that looks like the dash of my RAV4.
Looks like the dash of my old Mini Cooper
Right.
with the round gauges and the rounded dash. If you're watching on video, you'll love this. If you're not,
The
over our
Viewmaster on the
YouTube
top.
channel, you'll see it. There's a lot of fun. This looks like a brown wood grain box mounted on the dash with a coax cable coming out of it, and what looks like a GAF.
And the Viewmaster thing at the top.
Yeah, but it has a map on the screen, so that's nice. That's a navigation system. 1940s version of food delivery. It's basically a food truck, and the guy is walking some stuff to your house.
The mailman's got a delivery for the missus.
DoorDash in the old days. In 1900, people thought life. No, I'm going to stop the music. People thought life would. You could wear these balloons and walk on water for some apparent reason.
To lighten your load.
I guess the sidewalks were too crowded, so let's go out on the lake.
Hey, with the obesity epidemic, this is what people need.
To make it easier on their knees.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. This one I thought was interesting. This is I don't have the year on it, but they said television newspaper. Someday you may be able to receive the front page of your morning newspaper this way.
Really?
Fully printed and shown on the screen of a television set. Can it be done?
Yeah.
This is called an RSS feed now, or a news site.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to a website, that's actually pretty darn close. You're using a computer screen instead of your television, but that's exactly what we were doing when we were reading the article for this article.
Right. Yeah.
Self-driving cars of the future from 1960. They have 4 people sitting around picking out a paper airplane, and they're playing Scrabble.
I like how the dad is sitting in the driver's seat, but turned around.
Right, because that's what you do in a self-driving car.
Yeah.
Come on, Elon, get on it. I want to play Scrabble on our next road trip.
Yeah. It better sound like the Jetsons car as it goes by.
The cars look more like the Batmobile.
Yeah.
This one, it's like a personal car, only you stand up. If you leaned, it would tip over. The footprint is only like 2 feet by 2 feet.
We do have this today. It's called the Segway.
Yeah, but Segways don't tip over.
Do they? Hey, I've seen plenty of people
from the
tipping over.
Waist up, it's glass dome. And everybody's crowded on the street. This doesn't look like it solves any problem.
This is a mix between the Segway and the Pope-mobile.
This was painted by Walter Molino in 1962. It's called Life in 2022. Oh, darn. Thank goodness we're past that.
I think he meant 32. Oh.
Number 8, Ship's Cat by Keith Spangle. Just a cat looking out.
He's watching Star Wars.
Right. That's what it looks like. There's a couple of longer ships cruising by, and the cat's got
sushi
shells.
Almost looks like sushi sitting there.
There's
and some whiskey.
Whiskey and seashells. What are the 3 shells for? The cat asked.
Yeah. Don't ask.
All right. We talked about the phones. We had the old wooden one where you held it up to your ear, and then we've got the red traditional. It's like the bat phone.
Those weird 60s/70 phones, 70s phones. I always like the circular one when you put the handset on it, it was big circle.
Oh no.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, those were so 70s.
I didn't say it was great. I said I just like the design of it.
And they had a cassette player or something like that, an 8-track player.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
James Bond received a text, that's in quotes, via his smartwatch in The Spy Who Loved Me. It came out on one of those press type ribbon printers. So his text message was printing out of his watch. 007, no report HQ immediately. Oh,
Hey.
007 to report HQ immediately.
So I can imagine this scene. He gets the text message, reads it, and rips it off and goes, "Oh no!" And he drops it on the floor and runs off. And the bad guy comes in and says, "Oh, he's heading back to HQ."
Now we can rob the bank. Yeah.
Yeah.
My Seiko watch didn't do that. And then we have an air Titanic, apparently, is what it looks like. This thing has 2 sets of wings with 5 engines on each side. That's 20 jet engines.
Wow.
Fueling this would be a monster. It's got to be at least 10 stories high.
Redundant systems, by the way.
Yeah, I hope so. The airflow over those lower wings, actually, the airflow over all of it is just a mess. So, this is from the 1970s, no less.
Hey, it hits the nose of it and just kind of disperses.
But hey, we're going to Europe. 1969 Japanese vision of the future classroom. I like this with the little boy in the back. It says the odd part is that included small robots to rap students on the head when misbehaving.
It's got a little ball in there. It was like a
quack, 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 quack. And the kid in the front row is turning around laughing at him.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another one on the ceiling that comes down and clobbers him.
Oh, wow.
Jeez. This thing
It's
looks
all about
painful.
hitting the kids,
You better know what 3,000 times 25 is, or you're going to get a concussion. There's also a giant mainframe on the left-hand side. Must run the rapping robots.
So they can do math. Yeah.
Math is fun, but it hurts. VR in 1989, not too far off of what we have now. Big, ungainly headsets.
I like the branding right on the front.
NASA.
Where your eyes are supposed to be. NASA.
From the minds of NASA. Yep. 1989, though. Think about that. That was over 30 years ago. 35 years.
I can imagine that VR would be great for some of the things they want to do, but the only problem is as we mentioned with Voyager 1 is the lag trying to get the messages to whatever device or whatever they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Like Mars, trying to run I think this would be great for the Mars rover, but
the moon isn't too bad. I mean, anything within orbit you could do.
Yeah, maybe if you had a little relay system, maybe communications relay.
All right. This looks like somebody just threw in an AI generated image. It's called R2-Deco.
I've seen this one around a long time.
It's kind of a teal version of R2-D2, but it looks like he came out of a malt shop in the 1950s.
Malt shop. He was getting Luke a malt. Yeah.
Hey, kid. You think you're going to drown?
Yeah.
The life preserver. All righty. How NASA imagined life in space. I don't know the year on this one, but they've got a big kind of tubular ring world going on here.
Yeah, I was going to say a ring world. And we saw that in Star Trek as well.
Yep. 1981 vision of suburbia after there's no more room left for suburbs. They just kind of stacked them up.
Stacked the houses up.
Well,
in a rack.
Ready Player One took place in the stacks, so
it did.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Still coming.
Those look like full houses in each of the stacks.
Home shopping in the 1940s. This lady's basically talking back to QVC.
Yeah, she's placing an order right there.
Yep. It's well, I mean, we have Amazon. This isn't too bad.
No, it's not.
Futuristic Road Trip with the Family by Bruce McCall. This one, I have no idea. I think the artist just tried cramming everything in the sun in this picture.
Hey, every one of these people in this picture, including the dog, has something on their head.
Right. I'm not sure what's on Dad's. The highway man bot or something.
It looks like the thing almost like Doc Brown put on his head in Back to the Future.
Yeah. And everybody's got multiple screens and things to do. I mean, Mom's watching Popeye in the front, but she's also got what looks like a cell phone on the dash and another screen and dinner on a plate in front of her. And there's a dash on a screen on the console. There's a big screen above the dash that's taking up half the windshield. I'm not sure whose job that is.
Wait, look at the speed.
88 miles per hour. You're going to see some serious beep. There's a basketball hoop in here. Junior's flying an airplane in the car. The daughter has a keyboard. The dog is looking at a TV screen of a bone. There's a laptop with what looks like a cross between
Here, shut that dog up. Turn on the Bone channel.
Ernie from Sesame Street and South Park. I'm not sure what's on that laptop screen.
I'm sorry, when you said the dog's watching a bone.
He's got 2 channels. You can either watch Cat or Bone.
Yeah. It's
Great
bad
stuff.
enough they got iPads for kids just to shut them up. They give one to the dog.
And there's like a whole pizza oven in the middle of this thing too. There's just way too much stuff happening in this picture. It's kind of like one of those highlights seek and find. Can you find the banana?
And the kid also has a football game.
He's got a basketball shoved under the seat. He's got a curved screen though. I was impressed. He's got a curved display.
Yeah, but look right above it is the football game.
He's playing. I'm not sure who's playing. It looks like maybe the
Philadelphia
Eagles and the Cleveland Browns, just based on the uniform colors.
You know, heaven forbid they have a car accident. Everything would just.
I know the pizza's a goner.
Where's this? Why am I burning? Oh, it's the cheese.
All 911. We got to rescue the pizza.
Oh boy! Wow.
There's all kinds of crap on this.
You know what? This is when we reach a point in life where stimulation is just gone overboard, and we just
you want to talk about distracted driving? This is it.
Yeah, this is it.
All right, well, let's get through the rest of these. 1908 image of City of the Future. Looks like a lot of big concrete and steel buildings with bridges between them, which is kind of cool. There's sort of suspension, yet there's suspension going down. I'm not sure how these things are supposed to work.
It's like an Escher print.
Kind of. And then we have this car that looks like it was made out of Bakelite and has no wheels. You just kind of drag it on the ground with a bubble.
Maybe it was an extra vehicle from the Phantom Menace.
Before they levitated it.
Yeah. It just turned it off. And
if you painted this thing silver, you probably could put it into one of the Star Wars movies.
Yeah. Yeah, the Phantom Menace and all those were very Art Deco looking.
The Soviets had a vision of the future in the 1930s, which kind of looks like Futurama.
It does.
They've got cars going by on the road, but they also have these towers with circles through them, and a bullet-shaped train car is passing through. I started to
call it a monorail, but not a rail. No rail.
I'm not sure how this levitates, especially between the towers, but not for me to figure out.
Magnets.
In 1970, there's a futuristic Netherlands where it looks like the people's houses literally make up the dike. So I wouldn't want to live there.
They got tired of living below the dike. They just go up.
There's roads in the dike. It's kind of wacky. I do remember the 1984 smartwatch where you could take your Seiko watch and hook it up to a keyboard.
Ooh, I don't remember this.
Wear the keyboard on your wrist. We may have even seen this at the Computer History Museum.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it looks like something I would have wanted or back in the day.
It's got like a 4-row 10-line display, 10-character display, 4x10 character display on the watch itself. And then there's a kind of QWERTY keyboard that you wear on your forearm.
It's not ergonomic.
Look up Seiko UC-2100.
I'm going to look that up.
There must be batteries in this thing because the keyboard itself has an on-off switch.
I wonder if they got it on eBay.
The Olympic Games in the year 2020. I didn't see any of this, but apparently it takes place in space. They have to use a bubble around the Olympic torch. And you can pole vault about 10 meters up in the air, which is pretty darn good. The World News
And-
hover camera looks like
Look.
the practice droid from Star Wars that zaps Luke.
Okay. So they missed the date a little bit on this because 2020 was not this fun.
No, in fact, they delayed it a year just so they could get it in space.
Yeah.
Right. The Monsanto House of the Future, 1957. We've seen this one before. Kind of that levitated,
Like,
X-shaped house.
was it Andrew Lloyd Webber, the famous architect?
Not Andrew Lloyd Webber. He's the musician.
Oh,
Frank,
that's right.
Frank,
Who was the architect that made
Frank
the?
Lloyd Wright.
You're right. See, I was close.
Andrew Lloyd. You got the Lloyd part right.
Right.
Nice job. Okay. Then we have an actual spacesuit that Grumman Aircraft tried to sell.
No, this is a picture of Chuck visiting the volcanoes in Hawaii.
It's a walking trash can. Is what this would be a great Dragon Con cosplay.
Hey, what would happen if you fell over? I don't know if you could get up.
That was my first thought too. But then
Uh-huh.
again, if you fell over wearing one of the NASA
Well,
things to the moon, you wouldn't be able to get up either.
look, if you fall down, the waist area is wider than the top part, so it'd be like at an angle. You know,
Oh, we have more fun spacesuits coming up.
all right. Let's hurry up and get through these. I think we're running.
From the Jetta cartoon. We have two teenagers walking along. This must have been like in the 50s because the guy is walking along, says, "What do you say, space pigeon? Let's get the old hot saucer and beat sound to Nick's blast in." To which his girlfriend replies, "You're cooking with superatomic radiation, Arky."
These kids are talking like Gen Alpha.
You know what? I can't understand kids in any age.
I know. I do good to understand people my age.
The spaceship says Adam and Eve, ATOM, not yet, but soon. It also says racket ship, and also printed on the side of their rocket car that looks like the Jetsons says no cooking on afterburners.
Okay.
Apparently they go to Neutron High School. Oh, we missed the one with the guy and the girl in their bubble space suits. And they
Oh, did
both
we?
are missing their pants.
Whoa. Hello. That's progressive.
Nuclear proof underground city. And I missed it. Okay. Anyway, that was fun.
Hey, by the way, there
Yeah.
are some of those Seiko UC.
2100.
I said 2100, but I see a different couple of a 2000 and a 2100 and some other. They're going for about the whole set. The whole thing was a grand.
What?
Well, this one has a printer. It doesn't. The computer part's not on your wrist, but it actually has a
That's
printer.
amazing. All right. Yeah, we still got to talk about our TV shows. So,
Yeah.
real quick, let's go through the patrons because we don't want to forget them. They keep, no, that's on this day in history. Where's the patrons? It's the other orange button. There we go.
Take a couple
Thank you
weeks
to our
off.
patrons Alexis Duran, Amber Elstead, Amy Bowen, Abner Braverman, Ben Vaughn, Brad Miller, Brian Brown, Chris Martinez, Chris MC, Dan D. Mancoyer, Dean Jensen, Denise Inglis, Gary Lindros, Jason Pollard, John Clifford, John Noble, Yorga Shrowen, Crazy Joe, Kyle Nishioka, Leon, Mark Kilfoyle, Mike Wills, Saturday Morning Media, Stephen Weshy, Steve Cody, Steve Therian, Steve Webb, Steve London, and Tim Cook. Thank you to all of
Yay.
you. They went to patreon.com/Technorama podcast. Banner, please. And for as little as $1 a show, they help offset the costs of running this crazy chaos, including the live stream and many other things. And at the $5 level, they get a t-shirt that we have yet to design, but soon we're getting there.
Yeah.
Okay, stop the music. We're going to keep going on to Pass Me the Remote. This is where Craig and I talk about things we've read, watched, heard, maybe even participated in.
Gossiped about.
Spread nasty rumors. Yeah.
Right.
All right, turn that banner off.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
turn-
I got
I'll
it.
turn it off. You go first. What have you
I got
been
it.
watching?
All right. So one of the things I was really excited to watch was Pee Wee as himself, which is the Paul Rubens documentary that's on it's on Max.
Yes.
And it goes really through his whole life. And let me preface by saying when they were recording this documentary, nobody knew that Paul Rubens was sick with cancer. So
Oh, yeah.
he died shortly after they kind of completed. There was a moment when I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a moment when you're not sure if he's going to finish his interviews for it, but there's a nice end to it. Anyway, it goes through his whole life, um, basically with the groundlings, or even further back with his family, and the groundlings in L.A. trying to get his comedy chops going, and then Pee Wee kind of took on, and Pee Wee was in all these little other skits and stuff. You know how they do sketch comedy.
Yep.
And so you see Pee Wee's character in all those things until his character was getting really popular. He ended up making the Pee Wee Herman show, which is he used the Groundlings theater and to cut a deal to use that, and then it kind of skyrocketed, and of course, he became a pop culture mainstay in the '80s for sure. So it was really fascinating to see and hear Paul Rubens talk about himself, which why it's called Pee Wee as himself is because he built his career trying to make Pee Wee into a real person, where you never really. I didn't know Paul Rubens' name for a long time. I just knew
Right.
Pee Wee Herman.
Right.
So and it talks about all of that, and it was really fantastic to get a lot of that backstory and hear things like when he had a friend. He was in a relationship with a man who gave him a couple of things for Pee Wee. Well, he actually stole them, incorporated in a character, like when he goes, chocolate or something like that.
Mhm.
That's the way his friend would say, would do. And so he kind of stole those things and folded them into Pee Wee. It was really cool. There's a lot of, like I said, a lot of background stuff that you normally wouldn't see, like his collection. He had a collection of eclectic stuff all over the place. It was fantastic to see. So I highly recommend that if you're a Pee Wee Herman fan.
I'm going to piggyback on that one because a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, Grandpa Choco had a group of people on his podcast, Under the Puppet,
Mhm.
where he was talking to many of the puppeteers, like the lady who was sitting inside of Cherry.
Yes. Yeah. You see all that stuff too. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's a really good inside look as to how they got called up, what their tasks were the uncomfortable piece, like the person who was inside Conky going, that hurt.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh,
Well, if you like that kind of stuff, watch this because it'll dovetail with what you heard, because they do talk about that a lot.
I don't have Max, but I'll look for that.
Mhm.
All right.
Oh.
I've got one that I just watched last night. Apparently it's a series, but I've only seen one so far, called
Mhm.
Untold. This chapter is called The Fall of Favre. So Brett Favre, Green Bay Packers quarterback, got him. They go back to his origin story, his dad, all that, and how he gained his fame, and then they kind of dovetail in, what's her name? The New York Jets spokesperson girl.
Oh, I don't know.
Not Sturgis. I can't remember her name. Lovely young woman, looked kind of like his wife. Well, you start finding out that while Brett was playing for the New York Jets, he's texting her and she's rebuffing his advances, going, I never even met the guy. No, it's like he kept saying, hey, I'm all alone in the hotel. You want to come over?
Uh-oh.
And she said, no, it was Creepsville, and nobody took her seriously.
Megan Gilmore?
Nope.
Okay.
Back in 2008, 2009, we had different perceptions. Well, and it was completely unfair because she's the victim in all this,
Mhm.
and her career was basically trashed.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's terrible.
Fast forward years later to like 2022, 2023. And now Brett Favre's daughter's in college, and he magically finds some funds to build a volleyball gymnasium out of money that was supposed to go to welfare people. So he really got a black eye over that. He's saying, well, I didn't know where it came from, but their text messages are saying, you sure I won't get in trouble if people find out where this money came from? So
Mhm.
it was very incriminating.
Uh-huh.
But he's lost all his sponsorships and whatnot, but yet he's in the Hall of Fame and an MVP and blah, blah, blah. And this poor girl who nobody wants to touch her because, she's got a reputation. I don't know how, but it was really kind of a sad story for her and some of the other victims in the wake of what Brett Favre did.
Right.
It was a story of, if you elevate people and put them on a pedestal, they'll begin to think of themselves as invincible and they can do anything.
Sure.
Anything. And it really was terrible. I hope that Brett can one day recognize the damage he did now that he has a grown daughter that's now that age.
Mm-hmm.
But look, it's a little different when you have kids of your own. It's too late to change his behavior of the past, but even an apology would have been nice. But
yeah,
anyway, it was
the start.
Yep. And they went on about some people going, well, you talk to a lot of these people and they go, well, he can do what he wants as long as he gets points on the board on Sundays. He's a great football player, and they were turning a blind eye to all this.
Yeah.
It was just like dripping with misogyny. It was terrible. What else you got?
Well, the next one I've got is Black Bag, which we watched that last night, and it has Michael Fassbender and oh my God, what? Hold on a second.
You got to pull up the IMDb on that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna hate myself for not. Cate Blanchett.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they're both in it, but they're part of an elite spy group, and there's something that happens between them all that causes a little suspicion, and they're all kind of investigating each other a little bit. And it was actually, I thought it was pretty good. It was, the story is, it's funny how there was no action scenes or nothing like that, but the story was so low key. And then at the end you go,
low key,
not low key, low key. And so it wasn't, I wouldn't say exciting, but it was not mesmerizing. That's not a good, that's a little more than I was just watching them trying to investigate each other and be cool about it. It was really good. I thought it was engaging. I should say that's more of a, so yeah, it's worth checking out.
Good. I've got another one that I watched about a week or so ago called Cold Case: The Tylenol Murderers. Both of these are on Netflix, by the way.
I just mentioned that the other day. I was just talking about the Tylenol.
That's still unsolved?
Really?
Yes. There was one guy they had in their crosshairs, but they couldn't pin anything on him. So the FBI went laser focus. We're going to find.
I think I do remember something about that.
This guy. We're going to find something on this guy, and they never really found enough to pin it on him. And he recently passed away. So it's like. Wow. And meanwhile, they're going, hey, did you look at the things that Johnson & Johnson was doing? You can't really self-audit yourself in one of these situations, but they did.
Self-audit.
It made, well, we're going to gather up all the pills and destroy them.
Yeah.
It's like, because there may have been more than just the ones that were in the 2 stores in Chicago. Anyway, so it's kind of an eye opener because I don't remember all the details of the story that as it evolved over the 80s and 90s.
Right.
But it was interesting to see some more of the insights as to what happened, who was involved. And of course, like most documentaries, they have, I was a 34-year-old police sergeant at the time, and they show the old picture. And now they got the guy who's, in his 70s talking to the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was Cold Case: The Tylenol Murders on Netflix.
Okay. This one, I think I may have mentioned it before, but I didn't realize there was a season 3, so I just watched season 3. It's on Netflix. It says it's I Think You Should Leave. And
see ya.
Have you seen it? Have you seen this? Have you seen it, Chuck?
You said I should leave.
I know. We'll come back. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay. Tim Robinson, again, these are kind of these are produced sketch comedy or sketch comedy scenes, and he has a lot of guest stars on it, people he's worked with in the past, like Bob Odenkirk and stuff like that. He used to work at Service Now.
No.
Saturday Night Live. He used to he was on Saturday Night for a little bit, but he's great at making these awkward situations I mean, it's funny. I think it's funny. It's a no, I wouldn't say dark, but it's just got this weird sense of humor to it, and you may like it. I think you should probably check it out. But there's 3 seasons. I think there's hope for a 4th. Um, he's also in the movie. I haven't seen it yet. Just I think it's about to come out, called Friendship with Paul Rudd. So you can go see the trailer for that. That's Tim Robinson, and it's funny. It is funny.
All right, you got one more?
I do. I watched this with Harrison last night. I had to go back and finish the last part because I was getting a little late for bed. I was ready to go. Called Mickey 17. And it's about a guy who it's a futuristic story where the guy he signs up for I forget what it was called. The project was called, but he where they would put him in situations he would die. They would reprint his body with all his memories and everything, and put him back out in the field. So there was
Sounds familiar.
a little bit. The movie Moon was kind of reminding me of that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But Mickey, what's funny is you see it the first time they print him, like, oh, everybody's standing around the table and they're all excited that he came out of the machine, everything's working. And then after a while, he starts coming out of the machine and there's nobody there and there's no table to catch him out of the machine. Somebody runs over there and puts a table on him and catches him as he's coming out. Then later on, he just falls on the floor. It's like the shine fell off. So I thought it was pretty well done. I don't want to spoil it because it just came out.
Sure.
But yeah, you can go check that out. That's on Max at the moment.
All right. We have one thing in the Geek Library for you. It's called Can We Save Commodore from YouTube?
Yes. Let me tell you a little bit about this. You've seen this guy before. He does the Retro Recipes YouTube channel.
Sure.
With the Commodore. He talks the Commodore. He had the Knight Rider. He had Kit and all that stuff. Well, he's got an opportunity to purchase the Commodore in total brand. And that's what this video is all about, the one I linked to it. And it's a 30-minute video, and I was watching the other day, and I had to go back and watch a couple times to kind of understand what he was doing. Because he can't crowdfund because Commodore is a European brand.
Okay.
And that is a big no-no, apparently, to crowdsource something like that, as opposed to here in the States, you probably could. So he's trying to work out a deal with, if I understand this right, with several companies that do still make parts and stuff for the Commodore, trying to bring them together so he can purchase the entire brand. He wants to make alternate versions of the Commodore. And he had a bunch of ideas that he showed in the video that they want to do. So I thought it was pretty cool. If it was doing crowdsourcing, I'd probably invest a little bit, because I'm a fan of the 64. But I thought it was interesting to watch, so you may want to check it out too. This guy's like super deep in the 80s, though, big time. If you've ever seen him, so
I'm wondering what the business prop is on that, for growth, because nostalgia will only take you so far. You have to come out with a new product and innovate. I mean, the 64 would be 64, not 64K of memory, it'd be a 64-bit processor now.
Right. Yeah. No, I think part of his plan was that he was wanting to put some of these retro games in. There's some children's hospitals and stuff like that to try. I know that these are not, high-end games. It's totally different, but he wanted to build a groundswell of interest in these retro computers.
Hey, all those people who said they could do without the internet, play those games.
Yes. Well, you might need the internet to go download some, but Anyway, I was excited about it. I thought it sounded cool. And what was funny is I noticed this early on, but he did this. It starts off, he's painting his room with the Commodore rainbow and kind of look. He's redoing his little studio. And then he did the entire video talking about how excited he was about this brand. And he had an Atari t-shirt on the whole time.
Whoops.
I think at the very end, he kind of goes, oh.
Probably on purpose.
Yeah, it's probably on purpose. But yeah, go check him out.
All right.
What's that guy's name? His name is Christian Simpson. Yeah, so go check it out. You might like his channel anyway.
All right. To wrap it up, we have a question of the week for you. Promised you that I'd have another one for you at the end of the show. It's the end of the show. So you've been granted the ability to instantly download any single skill or area of knowledge directly into your brain, like on the Matrix. I don't know how we're going to put that port in the back of my neck, but I want one soon.
With a hammer.
The question is, what do you choose, and what's the most absurd, non-practical way you'd immediately use it?
Do a podcast.
Yeah. I learned
Absurd.
martial arts and I'm going to do a podcast. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'll just walk around and be able to recite the retro encabulator.
Well,
spiel.
right.
Hey, by the way, that came up at work, the retro encabulator thing. I told you about it. I texted a little bit, and then I went and read the history on that, and then I saw
turbo encabulator.
There's a turbo encabulator, there's a hyper encabulator, there's a bunch of them.
Jonathan Strickland did the story. I know he did it like 2012, and then he had a replay of it a few years ago before he left the show.
Yeah. I thought it was funny to actually read some of the. I don't remember that episode that you're talking about, but I read Wikipedia and I was like, oh, I see the origins of this, and the guy that did it that we know about with the
video,
Alan Bradley stuff. Yeah, he actually worked with a guy that did the original video, the turbo one.
Oh, right.
So they actually worked together at one point, and then YouTube thought I needed to find every one of them. So as soon as I searched for it, I saw like 10. They kept popping up in my feed later on that day. I was like, okay, thanks, YouTube.
I was scrolling through LinkedIn this week. I think it was Wednesday. We were doing some training. So I was training people via Zoom, and they were working on their labs quietly. I said, I'm here if you need me. I had my mic on mute, and I was working on a different screen that I was not sharing. And LinkedIn came up with a video running of Bill McDermott, the CEO of ServiceNow. And his hands were doing these gesticulations that looked like he was, and I sent the link to you. I said, Craig, watch this and think about the retro encabulator, because the guy does these hand movements with the, perpendicular to the lunar wane shaft and pre-stimulated amulite. And I started laughing. Less than 10 minutes later, one of the students pastes a link to the YouTube video for the retro encabulator into our training chat on Zoom. And my eyes bugged out. I said, BJ, my mic wasn't unmuted, was it? He goes, no, why? I said, I just mentioned that. And I haven't thought about this video in like 15 years. We used to use it all the time at the beginning of Technorama. And he wasn't on his mic was muted, but I could see from his little thumbnail video, he was laughing really hard. Like I don't know, some electrons got quantumly entangled there somewhere, because that doesn't come up twice in 10 minutes after laying low for so while.
I know. It's like the other day. Oh, well, I posted it. What happened was the project that I work on, one of my bosses gave us some big kudos on a new feature for it. And I said, if you want to see how it works, watch this. And I posted the retro encabulator.
Yeah.
And then
I was going to post this to the students before they left, because this was the last day of training. And I was going to say, look, make sure when you talk to your project sponsors and whatever, you don't baffle them with technobabble. You should not sound like this guy.
Right.
And I never got a chance. We were still laughing so hard.
That's funny. Anyway, my boss's boss, he was like, he was laughing because I don't think he'd ever seen that before.
Oh my.
And he was like, wow, I that's all I needed today. That's all I needed to see today.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I forgot some of the finer details, like when he mentions something very technobabbly, and he opens this random metal door and there's a relay in there. It's like, wow, that's impressive. Yeah. Based on what you said, I'll buy 10.
Yeah, I love how he's talking, and when he stops to open the door, you hear a little
squeak. All right, we ran a little long, but that's because we haven't done this in a while.
Yeah, it's because we love you guys.
Had a lot to share, so we are going to wrap it up now. That's what that music means. It's time to go. So we'll talk to you real soon. But in the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, call us on the listener line, 707-530-2428. We'd love to hear from you. Or you can email us, technorama@truckchat.com. We'd love to hear from you.
That's right.
Deja vu. You just search for truckchat.com or Technorama Podcast on the internet. You will find us. It's not that hard. We've been around for 20 years and still going. Not saying we'll be around for another 20. Thank you once again to our patrons for their contributions and keeping this show going, even if we weren't going. That's the cool thing is, while we weren't producing, they weren't paying. So, hey, that was a free month subscription you didn't pay for.
Yeah. Got nothing for it.
In the meantime, tell a friend about Technorama, and Craig's going to give us a binary high five.
All right. 101.
There we go. That's the end of the audio recording. We're going to conclude the video recording and get on with the Patreon show. We got to record that before it gets past Craig's bedtime.
I know.
So end stream happens right about now.